social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bass Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. You can follow the podcast first on YouTube. Hit that red subscribe button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media on Instagram at the Social Work Rants Podcast. That's all one word. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Social Work Rants. That's also one word. And on Facebook, aka Meta, at the Social Work Rants Podcast. Type it in, hit that like button, tune in, tap in, and thank you everybody for your love, your support. Um, really, truly appreciate it. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. Agradezco mucho. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Bad City Entertainment, your home for online holistic self care featuring poetry and virtual Zumba classes, featuring the book Triumph Through Pain: How to Maximize Your Full Potential During Hard Times. It is out, is available on Amazon, available in any bookstore. If they don't have it on the shelf, ask for it. It's also available on paperback and on Kindle. So tune in, tap in. I've been getting some good feedback on my book, self-published, my first ever book. So I'm excited um, about it. And finally released it. I feel like I've been talking ad nauseum for months about the book, and it is out. Recently went to a financial conference called InvestFest, hosted by one of my favorite podcasts and one of the podcasts that influenced the Social Work Grants podcast, Earn Your Leisure. It was at Atlanta. It was the first time me going to Atlanta, and definitely made some sales and got some feedback regarding the book. So definitely get your copy. Again, it's available on paperback and also on Kindle. I'm hoping to have it on Audible by the end of this year. So that is in the works. And also, I am a contributing author to the upcoming book, Latinx and Social Work Volume 2. You're going to see an official announcement with me coming up very, very soon. I actually got some couple edits I got to do for to finish up. So October 5th is the date. Tickets, if you follow Erica Sandoval, Latinx and Social Work on Twitter, on Instagram, and you'll be able to get your early bird tickets for the book event October 5th. It's in person, is in New York City. So tune in, tap in, and show some love and support. It's going to be in English and in Spanish. So Latinx and Social Work, el libro, volumen 2, va a ser en español. So I'm looking forward to seeing how my words that I wrote in English being translated in Spanish. So definitely you're gonna like my chapter. Be like, Bass, I didn't know you went through this. Even like friends that I have, my close friends that have a very close circle, so they know. But coworkers, you guys are gonna be shocked what I wrote, and definitely pour my heart out into it. And I can't wait to share the world, share to the world my experience. So if if you in the United States, you are a social worker, whether you are bachelor level, master's level, licensed clinical social worker, DSW in America, uh, you we are in an uproar. The ASWB released finally released their findings of what we all people of color already knew, that the ASWB exam, there's cultural bias in the exam. They finally showed their true colors as to what color, and is yellow. They showed their true colors as to proof of the ASWB licensing exam that we social workers need to take in order to try to move up and make a halfway decent wage in the field of social work to take. And it really is striking, but not totally surprised for my people outside of the U.S. And different provinces of Canada that don't have to be bothered with the ASWB. ASWB stands for Association for Social Work Boards. So we have to take a 4 hour, up to a 4 hour exam, 170 questions, multiple choice, sitting on a computer, how I am doing now, recording this episode, and basically answer multiple choice questions of supposedly real world um, examples, which many of the questions are not real world examples. I've taken the test 5 different times. So ASWB has over $1,000 of my money. I'm going to get to that in a bit. So this is going to be a two-parter, talking about the actual report, give my perspective on it, and then my personal experience with the ASWB exam. And if you listen to the past episodes of the podcast, for those of you who watch the podcast on YouTube, please go back to the audio version. You can listen to the podcast on any audio platform, and definitely I've talked about how I finally got licensed. I got grandfathered in um, with the ASW without taking the ASWB exam. So um, that being said, I wasn't going to give ASWB any more of my money. So I'll talk about that in a bit. But first, let's start with some of the stuff. The way they wrote is just mind-boggling. It's very upsetting. Um, myself being Puerto Rican, taking this exam and on multiple occasions, like I said, and I've come within 2 to 5 points of passing a couple of different times, a couple other times, especially the last time I took it, I bombed and it was like 30 points off from what I needed to pass. So on one of the pages, I'm going to read word for word. I'm looking at my phone for those that are watching. So you sound like I'm reading verbatim of what they wrote. I forgot what page this is on, but um, according from this is the chief executive officer of the ASWB and president reads a statement regarding the report, and I quote: "At the core of the social work profession, it is the ability to acknowledge and honor individuals not in isolation, but as part of their families and communities. This work and the ability of social workers to lead change is built on the foundation of professional standards legally defined in regulation that ensure competent and ethical practice. In this way, social work serves as a light for society. It is it is only natural that the Association of Social Work Boards remain true to its values by leading change within the profession." Really? ASWB plays a key role in supporting and serving the social work community to advance safe, competent, and ethical practices to strengthen public protection. One important way we do this is by developing and maintaining social work licensing exams to meet the rigorous standards, ensuring that they are relevant and reflective of current social work practice. We are in a pandemic that we are still in. Many communities have been extremely underserved, especially those in the Latino and African American communities. Um, we have been were hit the hardest. Where I'm from in Highbridge in the Bronx, shout out to Highbridge. At one point, Highbridge was ranked number one historically been one of the poorest con- congressional districts in all of the United States. And that is saying a lot when you hear Mississippi, Alabama, which down Bronx, USA. That's on the top in the country, of course, districts in the country. And was hit the hardest initially when COVID first happened. So I, saying this is a whole lot of nonsense because our communities of color need people like me in the community to provide adequate and culturally competent service for the people that we serve. And by having a culturally biased exam that we have difficulty failing because it's culturally biased, you're not helping the profession by me, people like myself, not able to pass this exam to help my community that I'm trying to serve. So this is a whole lot of crap. And talking of numbers, Trey Taylor, follow him. You need to follow him on Instagram and, and Twitter. He really put this very very eloquently, and he also did a podcast episode regarding this exam, and he made a great point. We have to take research one and research two so we could digest these numbers or try to if we remember our research strategies and digest these numbers and a lot of the way it was worded doesn't make any sense. The statistics are supposed to be from 2011 to 2021. That's 10 years. But then most of these numbers are really only like the last three years, 2018 to 2021. 88% of all test takers eventually pass the exam. Stress, and I'm going to stress too. 88% eventually pass. So talking about LeBron James, Miami Heat, not two, not three, not four, not five times take the test. That's $260, $275, depending what state you're in. Times five, times three, four, five times. People like I've actually like a couple times I actually waited on my income tax refund just to put money aside so I could take the exam. Because that was the only time I had to afford to pay for the exam and then take it again. And I'm sure there's many people out there in the same boat. Like put 20 is like people now investing in the stock market that you could like invest like $20 at a time or $100 at a time. Put money on the side just to cover the exam, just to take it, and then the studying on top of that. It's ridiculous. So you're not taking into account the trade for this. And I totally agreed with him on this point. So you don't take into account how much money we actually pay to take the exam. You know how bad the ASWB exam. I'll give you a perfect example. I had God rest his soul. I had a professor from my MSW program, the ISW. Podcast long enough, I do not mention them by name because like, it will be money. If you know what school I went to. And great professor, God rest his soul. Dr. Edgar Tyson. I met him one time in Jersey on a bus. Just randomly ran into him. We started talking, and he noticed I had my study material in my hand. Oh, you studying for your exam? Even he said the ASWB exam is a money grab. A professor at an MSW program. It is a money grab. So, a well known professor, better known as the creator of hip hop therapy, or gets credited as one creator of the hip hop therapy, mentions the ASWB is a money grab. The test is a money grab. They want you to fail on purpose. So it's coming from a professor in an MSW program that has a good reputation of being a good one. He says it's a money grab. I don't want to scare MSW students that listen to this podcast or recent graduates. You hear a plane go by. I'm recording. I'm outside my deck at my house. Money grab. Pass rates. 57% of African Americans. We did the numbers because it wasn't totally accurate. It was even a little bit lower than that. But according to the study, 57% African Americans passed the ASWB exam. How are we supposed to serve the people in our community if we can't have actual clinicians who are African American pass the exam because the exam is culturally biased? How many people are looking for black and brown therapists, somebody to relate that could kick the shit before really addressing the issues? 57%. Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, 7%. Whites, 91%. Almost 20% difference from paying this money for the exam. Basically was doomed from the start. Pass. The first few times, I didn't know that. I took the test. Many every single time I took the exam, I was the sole breadwinner of my home, putting pressure on myself to pass the exam so I could make more money or plans to leave a job. I'm going to take this exam and be out of the job. This job that I can't stand so I could get a better paying job to support my family. You can get a job without getting licensed. Indeed gets a bad rap. Go do look for jobs and go deep. 12, 13, page 13, 12, 14, 15 pages on LinkedIn looking for jobs. You can find one if you really look for one, or if you got connections. You become friends of coworkers that you currently work with, or you make friends and connections in your grad school programs and stay connected with them. Like, hey, I need a job. You know anybody that's hiring? 77% Latinos passed compared to 91%. The last three jobs I've had, bilingual, that speak Spanish. They needed somebody to speak Spanish because to help the communities that I was serving. My last job in New York, It was a prerequisite for me to speak Spanish in order to even get the job. And did half of my interview in Spanish. They were testing my Spanish skills to make sure I'm able to communicate with the clients who spoke in Spanish. There's communities all throughout the country suffering because there's not enough of us, black and brown, because we have to take this culturally biased exam. Think of think about that. Dr. LaShawn Paul, who's been on this podcast, she made a great point. We're not only doing a disservice to us within the profession of us, the workers, but it's doing a disservice. I'm not. I'm paraphrasing, but basically doing a disservice to our communities because we have to take this exam in order to pass it and be licensed to work in the field. And I mentioned this on the podcast before that I'm not happy where this profession is going, that you basically dismiss the LM and focus on the LC. Because I've seen plenty of jobs that you got to have an LC. I was like, forget the LM. Ain't that something? It stop making it harder for MSW students to find work. Stop looking for people who bust their behind to in states that you have to take the LM and the LC. When they take their LM, stop telling the people who get their LM that their LM ain't worth a damn. Pay them what they worth. We went to grad school paying all this money. My grad school basically copied the ASWB for their test prep course, almost verbatim. You know, I didn't get anything out of it when I took it. And there's other courses I took. If you listen to my conversation with the great Dr. Shapiro, we kept it real. Called the boot camp. Well, affectionately, is we in New Yorkers, you know about the boot camp. She's doing it online now, so that's an option for people who still need to take the exam and want to take it. I'm one of the few that took her courses for years and still failed. I know that's now I know part of that. Not only my nerves, like my putting pressure on myself, has a sole breadwinner for years, but now ASWB is showing me proof that the test is culturally biased. The test is culturally biased. Culturally biased, y'all. From 2011 to 2021, you acknowledge more social work students or social workers who need to take the exam from marginalized communities or taking the exam. You had a record of people like me taking the exam during this time period, this 10-year time period. There's more of us in the field or trying to be in the field, trying to get licensed. So why you make it culturally biased for us to pass? Why is a money grab? When I moved to Delaware and got the job at the school, my coworker, God bless her, she was like, "Did you know Delaware has a grandfathering program that you could pay?" I was like, "What? How much is it? I pay whatever so that I don't have to take the ASWB exam." You mean I could be licensed without taking that damn exam again? How much? I hopped on that real quick. What do I need? I refuse to give the ASWB another dime of my hard earned money if I can help it. Best believe I plan on renewing my license coming up in the start of the new year. I already have more than enough CEUs. I still have a couple. I still have. We in August. I still have 3 more months for a couple courses I need to take. Boom, done. Pay whatever to renew the license. ASWB not getting any more of my money as long. I put a post on it. I did it on Twitter. I did it on Instagram. Made a post. You got over $1,000. I paid, took the test 5 different times. You're not getting another dime from me as long as as long as I can help it. Because in Delaware, I need 3,000 clinical hours. I only have 32. You know how many years it's going to take me? I would have to pay for supervision on top of finding a job that provides supervision just to catch up. That's going to be years. I ain't got years. I don't. I've been in the field 20 years. I don't got years. I don't. Stuff that they write. These actions, like this report, represent initial steps that reflect social work values and uphold ASWB's mission to protect the people from harm. Who are you protecting? That's how bogus statements. You harming people, you harming us, black and brown folks, who are trying to get licensed. You're harming the black and brown communities that we're trying to serve, the historically underserved communities, because it's a money grab. And why we got to take this exam anyway, where there's a huge push of social workers, especially on Instagram. They were like, "Oh, look at all these jobs that you could get with just a MSW, no license." There's a whole push of corporate social work. Supposedly, it's hard to get into. I've seen quite a few social workers who are MSWs working in corporate, making over 70, 80, 90, or even 6 figures with no license. No license. No license, y'all. I'm gonna read one last thing, verbatim. If I can find it here. And basically, y'all shaming us black and brown folks. So historically marginalized groups may be more likely to experience challenges in the period leading up to examination, the exam administration including but not limited to access to comprehensive, accurate, effective exam preparation resources, sufficient time or ability to prepare for an exam, or adequate financial resources to pay for the exam. I gave you an example of that, but it is a money grab. A money grab. So stop shaming me for anything else I got going on. Stop shaming me because I have a family. And this is the steps I got to do to make sure I have a roof over my head. Shoot, my MSW program basically was like, we can't help you find another internship. I had to look for my second internship on my own. You have programs, yeah, and y'all show, y'all basically you know, a dime on my work. So my job is trying to do my best. That's like giving you a dime. Taking the test 5 times, that's over $1,000 of my money. For some reason, I can't remember one of the times I took the test. I tried to get licensed in Jersey because I was living in New Jersey at the time. I know two, okay, I remember now. I took twice the exam in Jersey City, New Jersey, near the Newport Mall. Same location 2 times. I took one time, the first time I took it, I completely bombed on the exam, was in Fort Lee in New Jersey, right off the bridge. And the other 2 times, you could take, even though you apply for New Jersey, if you could take the exam in New York City. There's certain locations in New York that you could take the exam, even though you're trying to get a license in Jersey, if that's convenient for you. So those are the 2 times I've taken in Manhattan. That's 5. I was trying to rack my head. Like, when was the other time I took it? I know I took the exam 5 times. Come within points. I remember 2014, I took the exam. Thinking I was working in an outpatient clinic in Queens. They were looking forward to me passing so that I could get more clients and get help them with the billing. So I could sign off on my own notes without needing a LCSW signing off on my notes. I failed within points. A month later, not because of the damn test. A month later, I got laid off from the job. Back to back trauma. My only failing exam, then I got laid off. I wouldn't have had to worry about being laid off if I would have passed the exam. Many people go through that. There's many workers that gotta sacrifice, do this, do that. It takes time to study. A lot of people still don't even know what to study for because there's so much shit you gotta know, or do you have to know it all, or know some of it? What test prep to take? Shout out to Justin Gillespie. He's one of the people who does test prep. Dr. Edith Shapiro, the TDC, again, Has this guy from Michigan that does test prep as well. There's so many of them. Even Melanie, the social work, did a LCSW exam prep. I think it was like sometime last year, I believe. Shout out to the NASW Illinois chapter for really stepping up. Illinois got rid of the LM or their version of the LM and only needing the LC. And they've been out in the forefront talking about getting rid of the test. They acting like they the national chapter. They might as well be because the national chapter, y'all already know my beef with the national chapter. They can this whole pandemic when it relates to social work, the NASWB, the national chapter, National Association of Social Work, has continued to drop the ball. At least their social media continues to drop the ball. Why don't you go out and admit that this coach is biased? I'm sure you get money too. I'm not even going to go into the financials of the ASWB. You want to hear about the financials of how much money the ASWB raked in? They raked. They made so much profit off of our backs. Y'all want to complain about all these billionaires like not paying their taxes? Yeah, basically the ASWB like raked, like a rake means slang term. They got a whole lot of money. You want to hear about the financials? Go listen to my homie Trey Taylor. He did a podcast about it, about the same topic I'm doing. I'm putting my twist into it, giving you my experience. You said you're not getting no more money if I could help it, which is why I advocate that for MSW students, you graduate, give them an actual living wage, find jobs, an actual living wage. Stop making it so hard that only focusing on giving people jobs that you got to have a LC to get a good job. The profession needs to change regarding that, which is why us in this profession got to do other things, side hustles, like my book. And I'm pointing to it because my Zoom background is my poetry book, Trying Through Pain: How to Maximize Your Full Potential During Hard Times, available on Amazon. While I do Zumba classes, got people who do workshops and stuff on the side, on top of their job, their full-time job. While I sell hats, embrace your reset. It's kind of hard to see in the video. It says hashtag embrace your reset. Trying through pain.com dot myshopify.com for embrace your reset merchandise. You gotta sell merch on the side. Podcast merch, updated merch coming soon on the same website. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a shirt that I'm not gonna say because I already said a curse word once. Follow me the Social Work Rants podcast on Instagram. You'll see the shirt that I posted. It's on my link tree for purchase. If you're that passionate like I am, not giving ASWB another dime, you go get the shirt. That's a call to action. Go look on the website. It's there. I'm going to talk about the Interstate Compact in the upcoming episode because it links to this exam, and it shouldn't have to be that way. Because somebody like me, that I'm only 2 hours away from Washington D.C., about an hour from Baltimore, Maryland, about an hour to an hour and a half from Philly, and 2 to 3 hours, closer to three, to New York City, I can come up with a program, come up with something, and hit up all of all of these major cities through the Interstate Compact. What you need, they want you to pass the ASWB exam first before you can be licensed in multiple states. Uh-uh. That needs to change, and our voices need to be heard to make sure that's not part of the compact. That's just my own example. At InvestFest, I actually was given an idea of how to give back. It's going to take a lot of planning, a lot of work, but I was like, contemplating, like, oh snap, like that. I actually could do that. I never thought of that. This is why I also stress and put stuff about uh, home ownership and investing in stocks and things like that, financial literacy, because we need to have additional money that has nothing to do with social work. Which is why I had somebody who invests in real estate on the podcast. Think outside the box. There's other ways to make money or use social work skills, not actually in social work to make money. Which is why I invested a lot of time in season 4 talking about entrepreneurship. A couple episodes ago from season 4, as somebody who's about to make $1 million in her business. She was given gems. Who wouldn't want to make $1 million and put it back? And then if you make $1 million, put it back in, into purchasing real estate or stocks. Get Apple stock, Microsoft. That's not related to social work. That's my tangent. I know I'm going off in a little bit of a tangent, but it is called the Social Work Rants podcast for a reason. I am not going to scream and howl and shout. I should, especially with these numbers. 55% of African Americans and only 77% of Latinos passing the exam. The test is culturally biased, and the ASWB proved threw it in your face. It's a culturally biased exam. What are we going to do about it in the profession? On change.com, there is a petition to ask to get rid of the ASWB exam. I suggest you sign the petition. I signed it. Sign the petition. We have to support each other in the profession. If we Latinos, Latinx, Hispanics, whatever we call you want to identify yourself as, and African Americans, Blacks, people of color, every person of color come together, we could really make a difference. Let's do that. Let's collab. Let's make some money together. Which reminds me, breaking news on the podcast. You got a business, $25 an episode for sponsorships, starting at 25. Because I know people don't got a budget. If you got a small business, $25 per episode. Promote your business on the podcast. Starting at 25. Starting. Let's let's do stuff so that we don't gotta rely on this freaking exam. And let's demand our MSW programs do a better job. You getting money from us? Do a better job of having us get ready to take this test if it's still in existence for the next few years. Those in the MSW program, don't be like the little kids at elementary school that you just gear them to take a test, but no, prepare them. Even Gary Taylor said, when they graduate, give them a general license when they graduate. I actually like that idea. I had to put more thought in it, but I'm like, that's not a bad idea. When you get your degree, you get a general license. At least you say you're a licensed social worker right off the jump. People like myself don't want to take the LC because we don't want to do therapy. I did the therapy for a couple years. It's not for me. Then again, the population I was working with, maybe my skills at the time didn't suit that population. But I don't want to do therapy. My bread and butter is, case management, social work. I do some individual counseling, which is and bread and butter is doing some case management piece, Medicaid recertifications, food stamp certifications, things like that. Do some short-term counseling. That's why I said a couple episodes ago, I'm retired. I'm done with school social work. It's not for me. I'm giving you options. Let's collab. Let's work together. Sign the petition to end this damn exam. Schools, social work schools, step up to the plate and help eradicate this damn test. Or at least make a statement that you condemn these findings. That we all knew this freaking test was culturally biased. Step up, or stop robbing us students for our money. Because grad school is expensive, and not at the end of this month, the 31st, if we have student loans, we gotta start paying them back, unless somehow some miracle uh, the president extends them again, which he probably should. You extended it for this long. Extend them for the rest of the year, Joe. Yeah, I don't need the money. America doesn't need the money. Y'all don't need it that bad. That for over 2 years, you keep extending, extending, extending. That means y'all don't need the money. That's off my high horse. Let me know what y'all think. If you listen to the podcast on Spotify, please leave a rating. Really appreciate it. Watching on YouTube, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You want to be on the podcast, please email me, basscityentertainmentllc@gmail.com. I'll put it in the show notes. Gracias por su apoyo. Thank you for listening. Till next time, y'all. Peace. Stay safe. We still in a pandemic. Not only COVID, we got monkeypox and everything else going on. So please, 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 please stay safe, y'all. Talk to you soon.